Hello there and welcome to Maximum Revenue for Minimum Effort. I'm going to share with you some of my favorite strategies today to help you uncover all the possibilities that exist within your current base of relationships. Now, what I'd like for you to start with is just thinking about the possibilities when you are the first call that your best clients make whenever they have a question, a challenge, a problem, anything that's going on in their business, they think of you first. What would your life be like? Think of all the potential that could come your way. Well, I'm going to be asking you this question a little bit later on in our presentation today as I'm going through and helping you understand just what it means to be the trusted advisor to your top relationships. Now, I promise during our time together today that I'm going to show you how you can be the most valuable asset within your own organization or firm, and also the trusted advisor to your clients and embedded in the very fabric of their organization. Now, we're going to cover a lot of ground, and I do want to ask you before we get started, under the description to this video, there is a download that I want you to go and snag because in it is a workbook that is titled Client Alchemy, because I'm going to show you how to turn gold into platinum within your relationship base. So do go grab that because you're going to want to be working in that workbook as I'm talking through this session. So rather than this just being a lecture or presentation, I'd like for you to almost think about it like a workshop, because I want you to truly put the work in so that we can climb that hill of opportunity that's present in your sales effort right now. Okay, now as we're getting started with this, I'm going to ask you to do me a great big favor. Now, normally I know when you do stuff like this, it's encouraged for you to go ahead and multitask and maybe pick up a few different things that you can catch up on, or a little bit of your reading, or catch up on email while you listen to the presentation going on another screen. I don't want you to do that. For our conversation, I want you to just stay with me and turn off all distractions and just work on your business for the next half hour or so, because some of the strategies that I'm going to be sharing with you truly are game-changing in your business. And each and every one of them that I'm going to be relating has proven successful for professionals across a host of industries. And I want you to take advantage of every ounce of opportunity that I'm going to share with you. Okay, now with this, let's dive in and talk cross-selling. Now, before we get too far, I know that sometimes you get a little bit of heartburn over the term sell. I know there's a lot of people who think that that's one of those bad four-letter words. It's not a bad four-letter word. No one's going to wash your mouth out with soap for saying the word selling today. But just in case you're getting a little bit of heartburn over it, or you get that anxiety whenever somebody talks to you about it's time to sell something, let's dispel that right now. Because what I'd like for you to think about, instead of thinking about selling anything, I would rather you think about it as serving. And what that means is to be the trusted advisor. You are the one that is bringing them opportunities. You're bringing them resources. You're solving problems. You're giving them wise counsel. You are an asset. And with that being said, you deserve to get paid for it. So let me just shift that a little bit from thinking about sell to serve. So think about cross-serving whenever I'm sharing this cross-selling term with you, because that's the perspective that we're going to take. Now, let me talk to you a little bit about what cross-selling is. And if you think about the opportunities within your clients as a share of wallet or the potential opportunities that are there, I want you to think beyond just the products or services or guidance that you would offer. Because while, yes, 100% of the share of wallet is engaged in all the services that you offer, they also follow your advice. They do what you say. They get amazing results, and then they're raving fans, and they tell all of their friends and professional colleagues, which then has all of these other people who are very excited to understand who can do such great work in a company that looks just like their friends. And so then they come to you. So when I'm talking about reaching the share of wallet, it's not only the business possibility, it is the influence potential as well. So I want you to be thinking about that, because that's a big part of, I think, a missed opportunity that people don't capture with cross-selling or cross-serving. They totally miss out on the fact that each one of their amazing clients should reproduce themselves at least once. And if you're as blessed as I am with the amazing clients I have, I'll have people introduce me to 3 and 4 amazing prospects each and every month. And that's not unheard of in what I do. So I encourage you to think a little bit bigger and a little bit broader about just what is the opportunity within your client base. Now, I want you to think for just a minute about why this information that I'm sharing is so critical to your success and sustainability. Dare I say it's vital to your success? Well, first thing is, right now we are in the middle of, I don't know, recession, correction, I don't know what it is. All I know is that people are having a hard time figuring it out. They have talked about how we've never been in a global pandemic before. We've never had to deal with the global disruption of supply chain. And many of your clients may be dealing with the aftermath of this situation. So we've got this economic downturn that's going on, and everything that I'm seeing in the news is talking about how companies are cutting costs. We're having rising layoffs. There is just a host of disruption going on right now. And I'm hearing of a whole lot of people that are starting to cut back on marketing. They're reducing everything that they view as discretionary spending. And I don't know about you, but I've kind of been in that discretionary spending line item before with my solution. So I want to retain every opportunity that I have within my existing customers. And if you have 3 or more services, your retention of your existing clients is going to improve by over 90%. Multiple studies show that. Now, if you're telling me, Brendan, hey, I only have one solution, what am I going to give? Okay, well, guess what? That's where you bring in partners. That's where you bring in supportive solutions that make your solution just a little bit more sticky. So let's say you're a fractional CFO. This is where you bring in accounting solutions or a dashboard solution, or you refer the bookkeeping service. There are any number of things that you can do to think about wrapping around your existing client, and that makes it more sticky. And the second reason is, and this one is my favorite, your existing customers are 5 times more likely to buy more stuff from you than brand new clients are. Okay, did you follow me with that? 5 times more likely. 5 times. I hope you got that, because that's a big number. When you're thinking about how much effort it takes in order to get revenue from new relationships, it's a lot easier to sell more stuff and get more revenue from existing people that already love you. So let's think about cross-selling from the perspective of finding more problems that you can solve with people who already love you. And then the third reason why I am such a fan of cross-selling is new customers are 258% more likely to buy if they perceive added value through expansive services. So that means instead of just hiring that fractional CFO, they're much more excited if that fractional CFO also brings them solutions for dashboards and KPIs and managing and monitoring their finance so that they make better decisions, and brings the bookkeeping solution so that it's like you're this comprehensive accounting and finance function for a small business. If they see that in your offering, you got a really good shot at getting even more business from them. So that's what I want you thinking about when we're talking about cross-selling. And those are some of the secrets that I'm going to be sharing with you today. Because what it looks like is truly that opportunity to get in there, and I'm sticking with that fractional CFO example. So follow me on this. So if you're a fractional CFO, rather than trying to go in there and pitch or present why that business owner should pay you $7,000 or $10,000 a month for you to have a fraction, or for them to have a fraction of your time, Instead, what it looks like is you go in and offer a comprehensive analysis of where their current finance function is, what the gaps are, what the opportunities are if they grow, what it's costing them to not have it, where they don't have the opportunities to really advance their business because of lacking systems. And you help them quantify that after that initial assessment takes place. And then you put together that roadmap or that path in order to get to that better outcome. They're pretty excited about it. So then your sales process, instead of it being about trying to get that big number, now it's more about getting that initial assessment for potentially $3,000 to $5,000 to really show them what they're dealing with. That, by the way, before that would have been a proposal that you probably didn't get paid anything for. Instead, I want you to consider it as it is an initial investment. You are paid for your time delivering value. And that's what this is about. And then once you are in there and you have that first dollar, the objective is to expand so that you capture that share of wallet that is available. Now, I just want to make sure that you're in the right place because you've spent a little bit of time with me up to this point. Hopefully, I've got your attention. But if you are a professional advisor that you're at a spot where you really want to make an impact and expand the relationship and bring new opportunities to your firm or organization, if you are an emerging leader, that you've got a goal in mind right now that you want some big results and you recognize that growing existing clients is a great way to make that happen. Or third, you're that fractional leader that you want to make sure that you are turning those transactional opportunities into transformation within your clients. You are in the right place, and that's what we're going to be talking about for the next few minutes. Now, just a little bit about me. My name's Brendan Filbert. I'm managing partner of an organization called SalesWorks. And I have been coaching and developing professionals for over 20 plus years with, oh my goodness, probably, I think I'm over 400 folks that I've had the privilege of working with across industries from pipes, valves, and fittings all the way through environmental law. So there's a really broad gamut that I've had the opportunity to support and serve throughout my career. And my client successes are in excess of $250 million based on what I've had the opportunity to do. Just some quick math catching up with some folks. And considering there's a whole lot of folks out there that I haven't caught up yet, I'm upwards of that number with this approach that I'm going to be sharing with you today. So it works, and I'm here to help you make more revenue from those existing relationships you have. Now, I told you when we first started that I wanted you to imagine the possibilities. And now I really want you to take just a few minutes and think about what it's going to mean to you in your career, in your life, in your business. What does it mean when you are that trusted advisor? What does your life look like when your best clients, again, view you as the resource that they have to come to or that they engage? You're the first call. You're the one that's brought into those closed door meetings when they have challenges and they need somebody that can guide them or can connect them to the right solution to get where they need to go. What does that really mean to you? What does that do for you with your success, with your impact, with your ability to retain and grow within not only that client, but potentially in your firm? I want you to really think about this because I'm going to be talking to you about doing some things that may be a little hard. Actually, they're a lot hard because I'm going to be talking to you about really stretching your own comfort zone. And can I tell you that if you are not uncomfortable in the work that you're doing to build relationships, then you're limiting yourself. Because what we're going to be talking about, there's work involved. And just like when you start a new workout plan to get healthy or get fit, it means that you may have a few days where things are a little bit tough. That's the way that this process goes because you are going to be building some muscle in your business and in your career. So it's going to be a little bit uncomfortable. So I really want you to take just a minute and connect with your why for doing this. What is your inspiration? What is it that you are really excited to create? Because when you get really clear about what that why is that you're working towards, you're going to be willing to do what it takes to get there. Okay, now let's dive in and do this. Because I believe that building and nurturing relationships that create that raving fan experience is the single most important skill that you can build that will move your career or business to the next level and achieve the level of success that you are capable of. You're talented, you're gifted at what you do, and you deserve that acknowledgement and recognition. So help people recognize just how incredibly there's just so much here that you can capture if you're willing to step out there and step into it. Now, I'm going to talk to you today during our conversation about some key insights about the cross-selling those important relationships, as in your top clients, that are going to show you that there is a path you can follow that will get you to your top line revenue goals, probably from people that you already have. You're not even going to have to go get new relationships. And now the new relationships that you may encounter and you may cultivate, those are going to be bonus. But let's start with capturing everything that's possible from those existing relationships. And before we go there, I know I'm going to have to dispel just a few of the myths that exist around cross-selling, because sometimes we get a little bit stuck in our own head trash about how this is going to work. So the first myth that I want to talk to you about is that you don't have to have years of experience as an advisor in order to be that contributor to a cross-selling effort. And let me also expand on this and say that it's not only the years of experience, it's also you don't have to have a ton of clients in order for these concepts to work. If I think back to when I started my business, I had 3 relationships that I began with, and I can directly tie a significant chunk of my business back to those same 3 relationships. And one of them has introduced me to in excess of 200 prospects since we've worked together, of which I've closed about 30 to 40%. And then all of those individuals have also then introduced me to others. Maybe not as many as my friend Mike has, but there are a lot of folks that have done a lot for me throughout my career. But it all started with those same 3 people. So it doesn't have to be massive numbers for this to have a significant impact. Okay? Now, let's talk about that years of experience, since I've kind of dispelled the number of clients. I want you to think about how long it takes until you become an expert. There is a book called Outliers by Malcolm Gladwell. And in this book, he shares how studies have shown that it takes you up to, I think it's 10,000 hours before you're viewed as an expert. Well, now let's break that down and think about what 10,000 hours actually is. It is, well, let's think about this. If you work a 40-hour week and there's roughly 2,080 working hours in a year, then, and of course you're going to take off some time for vacation, holidays, etc., because hey, we got to have a life. So that's roughly 5 years that you devote to become an expert. So let me ask you, how long have you been doing what you do? Just think about that for a minute. Even if you're fairly new at it, are you farther along than your clients are? Probably, in a lot of cases, even if you're brand spanking new. And let's say that you were an attorney. How many years did you spend in law school? How many hours a day were you involved? If you ended up getting an internship or clerking somewhere, how many hours did you invest there? It doesn't take you very long until you're really close to that $2,000 or $10,000 hour number that gets you really up there into expert status. So what I want you to think about is the fact that you bring a lot of value wherever you may happen to be. Even if you're only a little bit farther along on that journey to becoming an expert than your clients are, you were still far enough ahead to bring value to them. And the second myth that I want to dispel is that cross-selling isn't welcomed by your clients. So there are a lot of, I spent lunch today with somebody who said, my clients really think they're bothering their prospects if they reach out and they're being intrusive. Well, I don't know about you, but if somebody knocks on my door and they're bringing me something that's going to make a difference in my life or in my business, and they make it compelling and focused on value, I'm going to pay attention and I'm going to welcome that, especially if that resource or solution is brought to me by somebody that I trust and hold in very high regard. So I have to tell you that people are excited to learn about the ways that they can be better in their business. But more than 90% of them are going to look for those solutions based on recommendations. So what I want you to think about is, if you are going to bring a solution to your clients, you need to understand what their capabilities are. You need to pay attention within the client so that you understand when the potential problem that needs to be addressed by your partner pops up. And it's not, maybe it's, you think about it, it's almost like a fire is getting started. Well, the fire doesn't just immediately burst out in an explosion. It normally starts out with a little bitty flicker of smoke. And then there's that tiny flame that starts to come into existence. And then it starts to get a little bigger and a little bigger. Well, your job is to pay attention when you first start to see or smell that sign of smoke within your client. And then just explore and ask all the questions around what they're experiencing and determine if what is starting to come into existence that is a problem that's coming up is something that they want to fix, and determine where it fits into their priority. And then and only then make an introduction. Once you have recognized that there is an issue there, they have recognized it, they are concerned about it, they want to do something about it, and you bring them the solution that's going to help them get to a different tomorrow, they're going to be pretty excited about that. And you're going to bring them value. And you're not going to waste anyone's time. Because understand, it is far better for you to make fewer introductions or bring resources to your clients that only solve those compelling issues or bring incredible value than inundating them. This is not about giving them a host of things to think about. This is about bringing high quality solutions to your clients and high quality opportunities to your partners. So be selective. Now, the third myth that I want to dispel is that cross-selling isn't supported by your partners. Now, in many cases, organizations have a culture that is very siloed, as in you will have teams that view their relationships as theirs, or independent professionals. So if you're in a law firm and you have a partner that views all the clients as theirs, well, what you have to think about is, how do you build the trust? Because recognize that the reason why someone wouldn't refer you is probably because they don't understand the impact or the possibilities that exist in you providing more value to their client. And recognize we've all been present and accounted for at those train wrecks where an introduction is made and it does not go well. And it's not fun to be the one that made that connection, because then it's your reputation that is harmed because of that. So I encourage you to think about creating that trust, because understand, if your partners do not know you, they're not going to refer you. So I really want you thinking about how you're going to create that trusted partner relationship within your firm. And the best way to go about doing this is not based on learning any tips or tricks or anything like that. It's more about understanding how to become the great investigator and learn about asking incredible questions And just like I gave you that example, when you think about featuring your partner, it's more about understanding and asking questions than it is about telling or selling anything. So, what I want you to consider this as is when you're building great relationships, it's not about you talking anybody into anything. It's about asking the questions that, well, they may seem even obvious to you, but I want you to recognize that when you ask a question, it's not because you don't know the answer. It's because your prospect or your client may not know the answer. Maybe they haven't thought through this. Maybe they haven't really taken the time to take stock in what it's costing them to deal with this issue. And you asking them the questions to help them really bring this to light in their business or in their life, then all of a sudden it's there. It's kind of like that counselor or therapist that, yes, they understand that the emotional trauma that you have gone through that's bringing you to this moment in time where you are stuck. And they don't ask you these questions because they don't understand. They're asking you the questions because you have to understand. And that helps you come to terms with what is necessary and needed to move forward. And recognize that when we're talking about asking great questions, it's really important that these are good questions that you're asking. And it's not the, can you tell me what's keeping you up at night? Don't ask that question. Because I'll tell you, that question says, I really don't understand what's keeping you up at night. And instead, I want you to bring your questions from the perspective of really understanding their business. And know that if you niche down and you uncover specific industries that you like to serve, it allows you to be very specific and focused with the challenges that they're experiencing. You can understand how the external economic factors may be impacting them. For example, we're dealing with a lot of turmoil right now in the economy. And normally one of the first industries that's impacted is construction. So right now, we've got a lot of stuff going on because of what happened with the pandemic. And we have all this available office space. And now these companies are trying to figure out what to do with it. So it necessitates companies being very smart with what their decisions are around that. And the economic factors are the fact that we have rising interest rates and we have the Fed that's driving some of these costs higher. We still have supply chain challenges with getting some of our different products for production. So all of these create business challenges that your clients have to navigate. And by you bringing this into the topic of conversation, it demonstrates an understanding that you get it. You know what they're dealing with. And you can also help them with connecting to people, connecting to talent, connecting to resources to solve problems. Because right now, workforce remains one of the greatest challenges faced by just about any business. But if you understand exactly what the workforce challenges are, where they're experiencing turnover, where they're in fear of, or maybe they're challenged by someone that's left, and there's so many of these factors of these talent moves that can impact you. It's really important that you are in the know on these relationships and that you're bringing the relevant people to the table to keep you immersed within that client. And now, what I want you to think about, and hopefully I've got you sold on why cross-selling is really important to you and your business. But now what I want you to think about is the fact that you are now at a point where you recognize that there's a different possibility. And understand that there are 4 stages of growth. The initial stage of growth is where there's something that could be better, but you really don't even think about it. You're not aware of it. The second stage, you are aware that there's someplace different that you could be, but you're not quite sure what to do about it. And the third stage of growth is where you know there's something better, You know there's a different possibility, but you just don't quite have the guts to do it yet. You're stuck. You're probably in your own head. You're limited. You're overthinking things, and you're just become paralyzed. But then you move into the fourth stage, which is where you do the hard thing. And when you do the hard thing, you feel great about it. And then we evolve into that fifth stage of growth where we don't even think about it anymore. It's unconscious competence. And right now, you are at the first stage of growth where you continue to accept and respond to the work that's brought to you, or you can evolve to the next stage of growth, which is where you step into that trusted advisor role and you bring opportunities, identify problems, and become that bridge between that compelling business issue and the trusted resource that's going to be able to address that. That's where you're at right now. And what I want you to think about in order to get there is that you have to really understand the world that your clients are living in. And this is not about going into any deep dive into, like I told you, I wasn't going to give you all these tips and tricks about your business development effort or strategies or tactics about how to make up your best scripts or anything like that. I'm going to tell you, you need to dive into your client's business to really understand the context of the solution that you bring and the relevance to their results or their outcome. And understand that context is the problem, relevance is the environment that the problem exists within. And both of those are very important for you to recognize about understanding where and how you can bring even more value to your clients. Because in understanding more about your problem, you can identify when there are resources upstream that may be the ones that are spotting that smoke around problems that you would solve. And then you can have the opportunity to build relationships with them. Because sometimes, again, accessing that influence within your clients is about accessing the other trusted partners that you could develop that are serving clients just like your best one. And then you bring them in to increase the value that you deliver within your clients, while at the same time educating them about what you do and the value you provide and how important it would be for them to build a relationship with you to enhance their value. These are all the possibilities that exist when you start thinking about that cross-selling. And it all comes back to understanding the capabilities of your partner, paying attention to when the issues begin to arise that they could address, producing and sharing content that helps make it easy for your partners to bring you in, bringing relevant case studies to the attention, and then sharing and discussing possible introductions with your partners, internal and external, and having them coach you on making the best introductions. Because recognize that if they coach you, you are much more likely to win them an opportunity to build that relationship than if they approach it cold. So I want you to be very thoughtful about how you make these introductions. And understand that whenever you leave a follow-up meeting with one of your great clients or even a prospect, understand that almost half of people out there don't ever even follow up. And then you have 25% that may follow up to the second time, but then they don't do anything after that. 12% are going to make 3 contacts and then stop, but then there's only 10% that actually make more than 3 contacts. But I want you to look down at the very bottom, because I want you to recognize that 80% of sales are made on the 5th to the 12th contact. Now, if you think about what on earth are you going to reach out to somebody 5 to 12 times, when you think about that cross-selling, I want you to go back to that one of those slides at the very beginning where I showed you that you are 258% more likely to win business when they see additional value behind you. Now, if you think about bringing someone a solution, cross-selling means you solve the most compelling problem to get to revenue first. And that compelling problem may not be you, it may be one of your internal or external partners. But when you bring that resource to the table and they engage them, now there's two of you that are there to enhance and build the relationship. And instead of you following up to just check in or touch base, now instead you are reminding them of the emotional equity deposit that you've made with them, of bringing them an amazing introduction that's helping make their life better. And you are creating that deposit in that emotional equity account that you are going to be able to capture later. That feeling of reciprocity is a very strong emotional trigger that tethers that prospect to you and has them feeling a sense of obligation to work with you when the time is right. And now you've got your partner there that's going to help bridge that gap. So that's the reason why it's important for you to make the right introduction first and then continue to support that relationship by bringing them valued and trusted colleagues, resources, and partners. And what I want you to recognize is that the absolute best rainmakers in the world are not the people that are the, I don't know, they look great in a suit. They're the George Clooney or the Julia Roberts of their sales team, because the best rainmakers are truly the people that are great at continuing to follow up and follow through and live up to their commitments. And they bring resources and they care about what the client is experiencing. So I've given you a lot to think about. And what I encourage you to do is dive into your workbook and think about the relationships that we've talked about today, your best clients. Maybe it's dormant clients that you haven't talked to for a while that you want to re-engage and understand where they're at. Maybe it's people that you haven't talked to since before the pandemic. They're in a much different place now. I want you to think about who those folks are. I want you to look in your workbook, and I want you to do just a little bit of workshopping about how you can add value to the conversation. And I've shared with you actually a really cool worksheet that is called your Chief Executive Semi-Annual Review. That's just some of my favorite tips on how to bring up the conversation that takes you in a more strategic direction and less transactional. So do engage with the relationships that are important and that can help you achieve your goals and accomplish an incredible impact with your client. And I'm going to also offer, if you like this approach and you're starting to see an inkling of what it can do for you in your career or in your business, the exact strategies, the framework, the process, down to the exact interview formats to use, the documentation to follow up and how to follow through and create incredible relationships, all the way through how to maximize your social media activity to remain top of mind. That's all inside my program, Productive Prospecting. And within it, we begin with building that framework for incredible client relationships, turning them into your raving fan, free sales team that's out there opening the doors, and then bringing you to those incredible referral partnerships that are going to help you identify and expand all of the possibilities across your entire base of relationships, not just those clients now, but those clients of tomorrow as well. So if you want to really take your prospecting to the next level and get intentional about creating these strategies, I'm here to help you. So at the very bottom of this description, you're going to find a link where you can snag a spot on my calendar. And let's talk about what productive prospecting might look like for you and whether the timing is right for you to dive into this great opportunity to create your free sales team. I want to thank you so much for your time today, and it's been great getting to know you, and I'm really excited to see what you come up with from the power and possibilities that exist within your current client base. Thanks again for your time. And remember, you can get anything you want in the world as long as you help enough other people get what they want. Have a great day, and I wish you good selling.